Mwah. Hello, beautiful ones. I am thrilled to be with you in preparation for our very first coaching call for our Quantum Leap Your Life experience that's coming up in Calgary. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And many of us I know have had the honor of meeting at the Power of Success event. And some of us are meeting for the first time because you've been gifted a ticket by your dear friend. This is a time where we have to powerfully prepare for our weekend together. So the purpose of this coaching session is to give you some insights on how you can prepare for our transformative weekend. This is going to be such a powerful weekend where you're going to receive knowledge. You're going to receive specific techniques and insights. I'm going to guide live demonstrations. I'm going to give you specific scripts that you can utilize to guide yourself and others through techniques that are going to empower you to break through anything blocking you. And we're going to talk about that specifically today. What's been blocking you and how can we tune in to those blocks and remove them to create the space for you to embody the fullness of your infinite potential so that you quantum leap your life. And quantum leap is a term from physics, and it's mysteriously when an electron literally jumps from one orbit to the next. And this is metaphorically what we're focusing on in your life is how do you leap, in the context of your business, in the context of the results that you're producing, in the context of your health and vitality, in the context of your love and relationships, in all aspects of your life. How do you create a quantum leap? That's what this experience is about. And the other thing that I'm really excited about is to make this very personal and very real for you. So I've been sitting with your questionnaires, which I'm going to focus on in a moment, and give you specific coaching on what's been going on with your life. Like one of the areas that came up a lot is procrastination. Who's ready to break through procrastination? I'm going to give you some insights on how that's going to happen during our time together. And one of the things about this call is it is going to be recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to revisit it later. You also have an opportunity to share it with your friends that are wondering, what is it that you're doing on this particular weekend? And you have an opportunity to communicate with me. My team is on the call and they're moderating the chat room, so you have an opportunity to share any questions that you have right here on the chat. Matter of fact, one of the points that I was about to go into is procrastination. If that's something that's been up for you and you're ready to have a breakthrough in procrastination, let me know in the chat. Say, yes, I am ready for a breakthrough, because I'm going to give you some insights specifically on that. And if you have a particular question, here's the questions that I'm going to invite you to put into the chats. My team will be, like I said, moderating it and highlighting those questions for me to respond to during our time together. The question is this, is if you can let go of something. Is there something in your life that's been showing up that no longer serves you, but it's been blocking you in some way, shape, or form, and you're ready to have a breakthrough on this and let it go? What is that? What's something that's showing up that doesn't serve you? So part of our weekend is going to be focused specifically on breaking through that and then creating space for you to step into the grandeur of your vision, which I've been thrilled to be tapping into in your questionnaire. So one of the things that I saw here, and I've written down a couple of the common themes that we're going to be focused on as far as the areas that have been blocking you. So there's a term in Sanskrit, and it's called the kleshas. And what this term means is it means the obstacles to enlightenment, the obstacles to liberation. And what these kleshas are, and you experience it when there's this emotional kind of blockage, is anger, greed, or attachment, feeling a sense of attachment to something. And then the third klesha is ignorance, which is the fundamental blockage, because anger and greed are expressions of fundamental ignorance. So what is this fundamental ignorance? It's a fundamental ignorance of the nature of the self and a fundamental ignorance of the nature of reality. So when someone experiences themselves as separate, like I'm separate from this goal, I'm separate from this vision, I'm separate from something, the underlying premise comes from separation, which creates a state of fear, which again perpetuates. And because the subconscious mind, as we talked about when I met many of you in Calgary, works on the process of deductive reasoning. If a premise is false, like I say, somebody has a premise that goes, oh my gosh, what if I'm not good enough? The subconscious mind will play out that premise. So we're going to begin to get very curious That's one of the prerequisites. I'm going to invite you where in the past, how many of you in the past had something that was blocking you and you got frustrated and you just wanted to push it out of the way? Well, the thing is that we live in an attraction-based universe. So whatever you're pushing away, you actually give energy and power to. You can't get enough of what you don't want. I remember Wayne Dyer used to say. So what we're going to do is we're going to get curious. Anything that's blocked you where in the past you might have pushed away, we're going to get very curious. We're going to go, what is there to learn here? What's the insight here? And in this process of curiosity, your awareness is going to begin to expand. New insights will become available to you that are not available in a state of resistance. And as you begin to have this curiosity, it's almost like an elevated inquiry with yourself, new possibilities begin to come in. So here's some of the kleshas or some of the blocks that I was reading, and I want to really honor you for investing the time to share with me your deepest thoughts. If you haven't shared, that's okay, because one of the things that I notice when I lead these experiences around the world and with students from around the world is that whatever you're experiencing, there's somebody in the field, somebody in this room is navigating the exact same challenge that you're navigating. So you are not alone. There's somebody who's navigating the same challenge, and there's somebody in the room who's actually had a breakthrough on your challenge. So you will notice how there's like this kaleidoscope of attendees that will give you a reflection for your own breakthrough. And what do I mean by that? You may be, saying, I want to be lean, healthy, vital, and fit. And you're sitting a couple seats down from someone who in the past used to struggle with their health and vitality, but they had a breakthrough in this area. So this person, just a few chairs down, becomes a resource for you. And you'll discover how that happens as we come together in community. So here's some of the kleshas that came up. I want to hear from you in the chats. If this is something that, one of these areas that I'm going to talk about, if this is something that's been showing up for you, that you're ready to have a breakthrough in, let me know in the chats, because we're going to focus on as many of these as we're able to on our weekend experience together. One, we talked about procrastination. I'm going to get into that one in a moment. What about self-doubt? I saw that one came up quite a bit. Has self-doubt been showing up where you are ready to go? You've got this big vision, but there's this inside your head that says, what if it doesn't work? Or, what if I'm not ready yet, or something along that lines, and you're ready to have a breakthrough on self-doubt. There was one respondent in here. I love you all so much. I was reading this and it warmed my heart. This person says, I am ready to move beyond my automatic self-doubt mechanism. I thought, wow, that's interesting. We even have a name for it. It's an automatic self-doubt mechanism, where she says, where a part of me is ready to go and perform, but then there's this little part of me that says, what if I'm not ready yet, or is questioning your ability? Who's ready to have a breakthrough in the area of self-doubt? Say yes. Okay, that's going to happen. The very first question I'm going to ask you is this. When we're together in Calgary, I'm going to ask you this question, because this question is going to set the stage to presuppose the success of our time together. And it's one of the areas of mastery, one of my areas of mastery that I am very precise with, to ensure that the integration and the power of everything that you experience sticks. So it's not just transformation that happens in your head, it's transformation that integrates at a cellular level. So it becomes a natural action. Who's excited about that? Who's excited about integral, powerful breakthroughs that become natural action for you? So the very first question I'm going to ask you is this. To trust your intuitive wisdom, trust your intuition, trust your intuition. Are you ready to let go of self-doubt fully and completely at every cell of your being, right here and right now today, and to be fully aware of it consciously, yes or no? That's going to be my very first question. Are you ready? And here's what happens. That's why you got to get curious with me. What happens is fascinating. I will ask this question to a room of hundreds or thousands of people. I say, trust your intuitive wisdom. Are you ready to let this go right now? And I'm watching. The sensory acuity is so important to your success. Expanded awareness. What happens is you'll have some people in the room that are like, yes, I'm ready. Let's go. Then you'll have others that are like, yeah, or, or that'd be nice, or I'd like to. So the response is not an absolute congruent, ready to go right now, I'm all in, yes. So what happens is that there's this like tiptoe in, because what often is occurring at a subconscious level is that the old pattern or behavior, even though it's not serving you, it's been linked to some type of benefit. So one of the things that I saw, for example, in the questionnaires is there's some people that are ready to be in the best shape of their life. If that's you, say yes. Who's ready to like let go of things like binge eating? I saw binge eating on here. Some people are ready to, let go of these compulsive behaviors. Sometimes what's happening is that a person is trying to use their willpower to make a change, but there's a subtle subconscious pattern that's looping. And this is the level of precision in my life's work is I'm not just going to focus on the surface. This is why this call is so powerful and valuable coming into our experience together is I'm going to go beneath the surface and I'm going to get very curious and I'm going to look at the subtleties because brilliance in communication exists in the subtleties. It's not just what someone says. Sometimes I'll say to somebody, are you ready to make this change right here, right now, today? And they'll do this. Watch. Yes. One part of their body says something and another part of their body is saying something else. This is called secondary gain. So in order to have the greatest precision, we've got to transcend secondary gain. And this will happen during our time together. How do we transcend secondary gain? Let's say somebody says, another area, let's say self-criticism. Who's ready to let go of self-criticism? That one came up in the questionnaires. Are you ready to let go of self-judgment or self-criticism? And I may say to someone, are you ready to let this go right here, right now, today? Yes or no? Because wouldn't it make sense that self-judgment or self-criticism or negativity or binging or self-sabotage, these are the ones that came up, or staying in a comfort zone, that these are things that block your ability to step into your greatness. So when I ask somebody, are you ready to let it go? What sometimes a person is, there's a little part of them that's holding on. So would you like me to give you the insight on how we transcend secondary gain? Are you excited about that? Give me a yes on the chat so we can, and the reason why I'm asking you to say yes on the chats is not because I want to see a big long string of yeses. It's because what you receive in life, I'm going to be giving you everything I've got, in these 2 days. And that's a lot to receive. But if I'm giving you everything I've got, it's important for you to empty the cup and be ready to receive. And the more that you participate in the experience of life and you engage in the experience of life, matter of fact, that was one of the questions on the questionnaire is like, how do I become even more engaged in the experience of life? Sometimes I feel like I'm on the bleachers. Has anybody felt like they're on the bleachers? So to really come into the experience of life is like when you play full out, what you get will be proportionate to what you bring to the table. And it is so fascinating for me to see people from all over the world come to an experience. And you have some people that have the most profound breakthroughs, and it has everything to do with the state that you're in. And what is the state you want to be in? You want to be in a state that is open, available, ready, and receptive, because it's in that state. There's a great ancient wisdom text. It's the Tao Te Ching. It says the master of the Tao is ready. So when you show up to life ready, you're ready for the transformation. You're ready for the shift. You're ready. Transformation happens very rapidly for you, and it's not like having to climb up the hill. So in transcending secondary gain, one of the processes that I'm going to give you, and it's going to be so powerful, I'm going to guide you through a process on day one where I'm going to guide you to transform any disempowering behavior or habit or disempowering mental or emotional state that no longer serves you. I'm going to guide you on day one to experience it for the very last time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead a demonstration, and then I'm going to show you exactly how I guided the experience. I'm going to give you my customized scripts that I wrote, and you're going to have an opportunity to do it in groups. Then we're going to come back and we debrief it. This process is going to ensure that the learning integrates and sticks. And the first step is going to be transcending secondary gain. You're going to already be there by the time we arrive, which is really exciting. Here's the question that I'm going to have is, are you ready to let it go? Sometimes a part says no. Here's how you transcend it. Let me give you this very powerful teaching right now. And just so you know, what I'm about to say is something that we could have an entire weekend just on this one teaching, because it's so essential. If somebody's holding on to an old pattern, like let's say I've seen people that are eating things that don't serve them. They want to stop binging, but then they look for that sugar. So obviously the sugar or the relationship that doesn't serve you or whatever that may be is giving you something. So what we want to do is we want to honor it. Instead of pushing it away or being upset about it, we want to honor it. We want to invite it in. I'm actually going to establish communication with that part of you that's been holding on to the old behavior. We're going to love you through it. And that's a really big thing. It's to be in that loving space, which creates an opening. because the subconscious mind is very much like a small child. And what happens to a small child if you try to scream at it and tell it, you're not doing it right? It just kind of runs and hides. So what we want to do is we want to be sweet, we want to be loving, and we want to be curious, and we want to be very purposeful and begin to communicate with this aspect and say, what has it given you? What has this behavior given you? What has it done for you? So sometimes I'll see somebody, let's say they're experiencing anger, and I'm going to guide them to break through on anger because anger has been showing up. Anger is the most destructive of the emotions. It clouds your vision. It clouds your reason. It creates misperception and misapprehensions, and it causes someone to be unstable. Okay, anybody ready to have a big breakthrough in that? So there's breakthroughs on anger, experiencing anger in the moment, but then there's breakthroughs that I could guide you to go all the way to the root of where anger was really imprinted subconsciously. Sometimes I'll say to someone, are you ready to let go of anger right here and right now today? Yes or no? And I'm not talking about I'm talking about anger sometimes in the past that keeps propelling out, to the present and to the future. And it could be any emotion. It could be fear. It could be sadness. It could be guilt. It could be shame. These are very low dense emotions that, again, cloud vision and cloud reason. So what we would do is we would find what's the highest positive intention. So if somebody's holding on, didn't want to let go, what's the highest positive intention? What did it give you? It gave me a sense of strength. It gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of something. One of the areas that I saw was fear of failure. Sometimes I ask people, are you ready to let go of fear of failure? And they go, well, you can tell part of them wants to let go and another part of them doesn't. Why? The fear of failure is giving them something. What is it giving them? It's giving them a false sense of safety. Because if I play small and then I don't play this big, then at least I'm not going to fail or fall or get hurt or be embarrassed or all of these things. So the secondary gain plays this level of protection. How many of you are totally with me and you're like ready to transcend and let go of secondary gain right now so we can get to the big work? Who's there? Give me a big yes. Oh, okay. So I see. Okay, this is perfect. So I have Lauren over here. So let's take a couple specific questions and then I'm going to come back to some of the points that I read in the questionnaire. Lauren says, I've got a desire that's not serving me, but I'm not ready to let it go. So I need to figure out what it's giving me. So let me ask you a question, Lauren. How's it serving you? How's it serving you to have that? She says, it's not serving me. Okay, so here's the question I would ask. So as I'm working here with Lauren, and we're going to do this live together on our weekend, here's how we're powerfully preparing for our experience. Because how awesome would it be for you to arrive transcendent of secondary gain and ready to go? If not, we're going to focus on that on day one. Here's the thing that I would say to you is let me just tap in to that part of you that's been having that desire that isn't serving you. What might that be? It might be a desire for a particular person. You want to be in a relationship with this person, it doesn't serve you, or your desire for this particular thing in business or in your health. So what the first question I would ask is I would be totally in a tuned in, loving vibe, because that's what's most essential here. And I would say, let me ask you a question. Let me tune into that. What is it giving you? What is it giving you? Obviously, it's giving you something. If it didn't give you something, it wouldn't be there in the first place. So what is it giving you? First answer that comes to mind. It might say safety. It might say protection. And I go, okay, well, what does safety and protection give you? So what I'm going to do is, here's the distinction. In a state of total unified rapport and total love, zero judgment, we're going to elicit the highest positive intention, the highest positive intention of that old behavior that doesn't serve you. And then together we will discover new, empowering, healthful ways to meet that same highest intention. So when we remove the obstruction, or we remove that thing that no longer serves you, the highest positive intention of what it was intending to give you to serve you will be met for you in a new, healthful, energizing, and vital and empowering way. And it's not difficult. This is the awesome news. It's like this. Like, let's say that you've been driving to work every day and it takes you 30 minutes to drive to work. You've just been doing it forever. You've been driving that way for a decade. And then all of a sudden I come in and I say, hey, wait a minute. I have a shortcut for you. I can guide you because I've done it before, and here's a map. I'm going to show you this shortcut, and you could get to work in 15 minutes now instead of 30. How long would it take you to adopt this new strategy to be able to arrive to work earlier? Pretty quickly, right? It's the same thing with this. What's happened is that the neural pathways have been used to going in a particular direction for so long. The neural pathways of your beliefs around money, or your beliefs around relationships, or your beliefs around what is or is impossible. It's like these neural pathways have been grooved in for so long, like the grooves on those old vinyl records, that in order to break through, it requires a sense of expanded awareness. And that's precisely what this experience is going to bring. This experience is not only going to reignite you, it's going to be a transitional point, because you're going to come into a complete level of awareness on what these areas are, and you're going to have tools. I'm not just going to be up there talking and, sharing, inspiring, and, motivational things. That's not what this is about at all. This is about me giving you specific tools, guiding live demonstrations so you see the power of this work in action, me showing you precisely how I guided this transformation, and giving you the tools to do it, and then having you do it in groups, and then us coming back and having a conversation about it. And then you're going to be able to, as you go, empower others with everything that you just learned. Who's excited about that? Not just about you, but sharing this work and continuing to build this legacy of seeing every person, because every person has a unique gift that no one else in the entire planet has. See every person totally living the embodiment of their rare talent and their infinite potential. That's what this is about. All right. So if you have any questions, you could put them on the chat, and my team will highlight them for me. One of them is fear of success. Fear of success is a perfect example. Why would someone have fear of success? It's a secondary gain. It's a secondary gain. So I would say, trust your intuitive wisdom. Are you ready to let go of fear of success? Yes or no? They might say, well, yeah. Okay, what has fear of success given you? It's given me protection. It's given me safety. It's given me, and now, okay, we're going to find out exactly what it's given you, and we're going to discover a new, healthful, and empowering way to meet that same highest intention. So, okay, so let's see here. So one of the techniques you're going to receive is how to break through any disempowering state. Let's give you some examples of disempowering states that I read in the questionnaire. Insecurity, invalidation. Some of you, have you had the experience where you want others to validate you rather than just having a sense of, internal certainty about your own level of congruency? Going in circles. Someone says, here's a problem. See, going in circles, it's about what's your ultimate outcome? What's your highest intention? It is so essential to have an ultimate outcome and a highest intention without attachment. And sometimes I say this and it's a little bit confusing to people. They go, well, how do you have an intention and how do you have an outcome and not being attached? You're not attached to how it's going to show up. So let's say in the context of your business, you say, okay, my intention, my outcome, my focus, my goal, my mission here is that I'm going to generate $2 million or more in the next 12 months or less. Okay, that's a goal. And, so one of the things that's really important to realize in the context of your goal is the state that you're in when you're realizing the goal. And one of the things that I noticed on the questionnaires when I said, what's the greatest result that you're inspired to create in 2018, some of the responses had states instead of actual goals. And that's an important distinction to realize. Like if somebody says, I want to experience greater peace of mind is not a goal. You can't experience peace of mind in the future. Peace of mind is a state that you can embody right now. And I can guide you to experience and embody authentically any empowering state, in a heartbeat. And what happens sometimes is people think of states as goals. So one of the things that I would invite you to consider is be really clear on your intention of what that is, clear on your outcome, not attached to how it's going to show up, and then tuning into your most empowered state. So one of the keys about attachment, I'm going to talk about that just for a second, is sometimes people get clingy. Like I want this to happen, or I want that relationship, or I want this deal. The challenge with this level of attachment is it presupposes an absence. It's creating from a space of absence rather than from a space of presence. And because the underlying presupposition, we're going to talk about presuppositions quite a bit, is creating from a place of absence, it activates a sense of scarcity or lack, which extinguishes your power. So being able to be totally clear on intention, totally clear on your outcome without attachment. And what does that mean? Like you trust. It was one of the questions here. You say, you know what? It's going to show up as I intended to show up, or something even better will happen. And then you keep taking action. It's not like you're just kind of clear on your intention and, sitting in meditation, waiting for the universe to just drop it into your lap. You're open and available to the possibilities. You're not attached to how it shows up. You're clear, and you're taking focused, action. And I say focused action, not so much massive action, because a lot of times people take a lot of action and then they got to unwind certain actions that didn't serve them. Have you ever taken actions that were hasty and then you had to turn back and unwind those actions? I mean, think about if you can unwind, any 3 decisions in your life, if you had the ability to do that. So I'm a big believer in focused, purposeful action. So clear on intention, focused, purposeful action, transcendent of attachment to how it will show up, and activating, your I call it your supreme state. What does that mean? States of gratitude and joy and genuine enthusiasm and inspiration. And that you could recognize when you're not there, and you have strategies and tools to be able to realign yourself and recalibrate. Who's excited about tools? Getting a whole big toolbox or tool belt with a bunch of tools. So someone here says, curious to know, the highest positive intentions are for smoking. I have no clue what I could possibly want out of it. Okay, but I tell you that it holds the death grip. How many of you have something that's a habit like smoking? You're ready to let go of smoking. It's been showing up, it doesn't serve you, and you're ready to do it for the very last time. Okay, so I have specific techniques for things like smoking. One of the areas, let me talk a little bit about smoking, or anything that is launched by some form of trigger. How many of you have something that can trigger you in the past? And what do I say in the past? You're going to hear me say that a lot, because right now we've met and we're here, and this is a brand new moment. So whatever's happened in the past is in the past. So we're going to refer to that. This is what's been happening in the past. This is what's been happening up until now. And what many of my students describe their life is they describe their life before our experiences, like before Quantum Leap, and after Quantum Leap. This can be that defining for you. So in the context of smoking, I would guide you to uncover what is the trigger. So usually there's something that happens, and it's very subtle. There's something that happens that triggers a response, and it happens prior to conscious awareness. It's a subconscious where you're reaching for that cigarette before you even consciously think about it. So, one is finding the trigger. Before we find the trigger, we transcend secondary gain. We're starting there because we're going to be so precise. We're going to be precise about creating the conditions that allow transformation to happen fluidly rather than trying to make something happen. So the purposefulness in creating the conditions is really one of the key areas that makes me very unique. And I'm very precise in that. The first thing I would say is trust your intuitive wisdom. Are you ready to let go of smoking right here and right now today? Now, sometimes you'll get what I call an incongruent response. An incongruent response is where a part of you says yes and another part of you is saying no. So it's like, yeah. So what I would do is, again, in a total space of rapport, what is it giving you? What is it doing for you? What it's likely giving you, and I don't like to put words in people's mouths with this because everybody's unique and I want to really elicit what's been happening within you subconsciously. But I'll give you some examples of what I've heard specifically in the context of smoking is it gives them a moment of pause. It gives them a moment of an inhale. It gives them a moment of relaxation. It gives them a moment with me and me. That's the moment where no matter what's happening, I'm able to go outside, be by myself. Some people even go outdoors. So now you're in a natural environment and it's giving you an experience of self-connection. It's giving you an experience of pausing for a moment, inhaling a breath. These are all positive intentions. So what we would do is we would elicit this highest positive intention and then begin to uncover new healthful ways. Now, what happens sometimes is a pattern's been going on for so long that it's been a little sticky. So it requires a level of mastery to begin to communicate with the subconscious mind at this level and begin to educate the subconscious mind that its prime directive is to preserve and nurture and take care of your body. That's its job. So we come into that realignment, alignment to bring that awareness that your prime directive is to preserve and honor and take care of the body, and this behavior hurts the body. So wouldn't it make more sense to gather a learning and an insight that would allow this old behavior to dissolve in the presence of a new awareness? in the presence of a new understanding. I would venture to say that whatever's been blocking you, it's a place where awareness has been blocked, and it's likely a place where love has been blocked. So as we begin to remove these veils, a whole new world opens up, and you realize that the very thing that you were intending to create is closer than you anticipate. And the only thing that kept it away from you is your own ideas or thoughts within your own mind. This is exciting news because it's the keys to transformation. So let me see here. We got a couple more. How do you overcome the fear of not getting what you're offering? Relax. Okay, she says, how do I overcome the fear of not getting what you're offering? If I'm hearing it correctly, it's like, oh my gosh, what if I don't get what Niurka's offering? First of all, relax and realize this. As long as you're doing these things, if you're playing full out, I'm going to invite you when you get there to uncross your arms and legs, to sit on the edge of your chair, to be open. This is a do with process. It's not a do to process. So I'm not doing something to you. I'm doing it with you. The only thing that's required is for you to be open, receptive, and to play full out. And I guarantee you, when you're open and you're receptive and you play full out, you will have these breakthrough experiences because I'm going to guide you step by step. Today, I'm just giving you a lot of, insights and knowledge. When we're together, I'm going to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to guide this process. I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to say, here's what it is. I'm going to say, here's why it's essential. I'm going to say, here's what it's going to do for your life. I'm going to pick a demonstration. And I love picking the demos because I'm going to ask this question. And many of you on this call could be one of my demos. I'm going to say, who in the room is ready to do this for the very last time today? And just so you know, I always pick the hand that goes really way up. So it's like, beep, 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 beep. And then I'll bring them up. You'll have an opportunity to witness it. So you'll know what it is, why it's essential, where it shows up. You have an opportunity to witness it. Then you'll have an opportunity to get a script. We'll read it together. Then you'll have an opportunity to do it, and then we'll come back and we'll debrief it. And by the way, people learn differently. Some people learn more visually, others learn more auditorily, others learn more kinesthetically. So what this does is it engages all aspects of your learning powers to make sure that you walk away with the integration of the knowledge. And one of the things that you'll find is you'll go back out into your life. And this is what, the students that have been with me for a while, this is how they describe it. They go back into their life and that thing happens where that person that used to push your buttons, or that person that used to say that particular thing, or that one situation that, you used to kind of lose your power to, or whatever that may be, you'll go back into your life and that thing will happen. And what you will notice is that you respond differently. You show up differently based on the exercises that that I'm going to be guiding you through. So how's that? Would you like a little bit more insights on some more of what you will be experiencing during our weekend together? Or if you have any specific questions, you can let my team know and I'll be happy to respond to them. One of the things that I'm going to be giving you is a way to recode anything that no longer serves you subconsciously. One of the areas I noticed was there's some people ready to have some breakthroughs in the area of health and vitality. Who's ready for some breakthroughs in the area of health and vitality? Say yes. Let me see. Would it be valuable if I gave you some tools to literally recode foods and certain, things that don't serve you? I see some people have been going in, saying I'm binging, and it's not just binging sometimes with food. Someone in here said they were binging on television. You're ready to let go of that? So I can give you a specific technique to guide you to recode it. So if somebody's, let's say, binging on a particular food, there's a certain food, let's say they're binging on just carbs and snacks. Wouldn't it make sense that they are coding? It's not the snacks itself. They're coding what snacks means differently than somebody who has no interest in snacks. They're just coding it differently. So I'm going to guide you to recode anything that's showing up that's shackled you, that no longer serves you. We just did a webinar yesterday with graduates of my advanced course, SIA. It's been 10 years since I've been leading that course. It was so wonderful to have 17 classes from all over the world. And we had people sharing their successes and their breakthroughs and all the experience they've had through this great work. And just one recent graduate who just completed in November. And this woman was really, majorly overweight, to the point where when she'd get on the scale would just say E. And I guided her through this process. I could tell that it was like a moment of life or death, really. I brought her up to the stage. She was my live demonstration. The whole room was like so tuned in, and just love and community and just deep, sincere, support for this woman. And we just talked to her yesterday. It's been 13 weeks. She's totally on fire, hasn't had any candy, hasn't had any sugar. She's like totally excited. The first time in her, as long as she can remember, the scale has a number on it, and it's stories after stories after stories like this, where before she coded these candies or sugar or carbs in a way where she literally had them in her drawers. And now it's been completely recontextualized, which allows wise, healthful choices to happen as a natural action. You don't have to try to do it. You don't have to make yourself do it. You don't have to beat yourself into submission. It happens because that old file was removed and a new opening of awareness emerged. So what if the trigger, as one goddess says, is overwhelm, being a mom, working full time in an unfulfilling career, being in a relationship, trying to pursue passions? Okay, so one of the things right now that it's going to be so important is in that context to create some healthful boundaries for you and you. Because you're the mom and you're the businesswoman and you're navigating so many different things. How can you create certain boundaries to refuel, to plug in? That's so important that you have time where you can plug in to the source of inspiration, creativity, rejuvenation. And one of the suggestions I have for you is to become aware of how you end your day and how you begin your day, and to put some very specific boundaries and practices in this area. How you end your day sets the tone for the entire next 24 hours. Even if you look at ancient wisdom texts and traditions of different, of different lineages, even in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, it says it was evening and morning day one. What do I mean by that? Why am I even bringing that up? It's a teaching or a story that illuminates that the day begins in the evening. What happens a lot of times, people are overwhelmed because they wake up in the morning and they're navigating all these thoughts from the previous day, and they're coming into the morning feeling almost behind and overwhelmed. So you want to be able to, come into the day before and have a certain period of time where you shut off like the doingness of the world, and you have your moment of like, okay, here's where I'm going to refuel. Here's where I'm going to re-energize. And what does that mean? That means that there's a specific practice, whatever that may be, whether it's meditation, yoga, reading, connecting with people that are your community that really refuel your inspiration. And having those practices are going to be one of the keys. And you're going to find that in this community. It's so important to plug in with an empowered community, especially with all the noise and the busyness that's going on in the world. One of the questions that someone asked me, they said, Niurka, if I could ask Niurka anything, what would it be? And the question was, what are the top things you do to achieve success? And there's a lot of things that I do, but I wouldn't say that it's any specific thing that I do per se that causes the greatest success. I would say the greatest success, even though there's a lot of doing this, I want to be clear on that, is who are the closest people in your life? Who are the conversations that you're having every day? And how can those conversations, and are they supporting you in quantum leaping your life? And are there certain people that are, very, very close to you that might not be serving you, or even you serving them in this context? So one of the things that have allowed me to really quantum leap in the context of success is the conversation of who do I know? Because the who can open doors very, very quickly. Okay, let's see. We got a couple more minutes here. If you've got some questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And then I'll share with you a few other things. When we're together, you're going to receive profound insights in the context of your communication and how to communicate with greater purpose and greater clarity and greater authenticity and greater poise than ever before. Who's excited about some communication mastery tools where you could show up and communicate with greater clarity and congruence than you've ever communicated, and have insights on how to be able to more effectively listen to other people's communication, really understand their map of the world, see from a deeper perspective so that you can more effectively speak into their listening style in a way that inspires action for a mutual co-creative benefit, whatever that may be. Who's totally fired up about communication? Because there will be a lot of communication, insights, and tools. What's the best way to mentally prepare for so much information? Someone says, get a good night's sleep, eat healthy for 2 days before, get a really good night's sleep, get there early. And then once you're there, relax. The way that I guide, I know there's a lot of energy that's going to be coming to you. I teach on a lot of different levels. Okay. You're going to find and discover about me that when you're in a room with me, the space is intentionally created for your most empowered transformation. The breakthroughs are going to be happening, not just intellectually. That's why you could relax. They're going to be happening viscerally at the level of, they're going to be happening just by you becoming open and available. As you become open and available, you're able to listen you have multiple ways of listening, and it's not just with your head. You can listen with your heart. You can listen with your cells. You listen with your neurology, and it begins to integrate. So just allow. There's your insight, is just allow, be present, and be available, and play full out. So how do you overcome that little voice inside your head that's trying to sabotage you? It's just like a little devil on your shoulder, one of the questions says over here. It's telling you negative things, even when things are going well. Well, one is you realize that little voice is not you. That's number one. That's not you. That little voice is the conditioned mind. It's the conditioning of everything that's been, imprinted, if you will, over the years. The authentic you, the empowered you, doesn't speak in that nagging voice. The authentic, empowered you speaks in more of what I would describe, and it's really not something to be described like this, but it would be more of a still, centered, powerful voice. That's more of a silent voice. That's the authentic you. So the first thing is realizing this voice isn't me. So I'm going to get curious about it. There's different ways to navigate that little voice. I could give you some insights and strategies when we're together. But one thing right now is realize it's not you. Get curious. Find out, what does it ultimately want to give you? Sometimes it's trying to give you something. So what I would do is, instead of just trying to not have it say anything, I would give it a moment. I would say, okay, little voice, I'm hearing you. What is it that you have to say? I would give it a moment of a voice, and then say, what is your ultimate intention? See, here's the thing. When you uncover the highest intention of the voice, the highest positive intention is something that you would agree with. The thing is, how it's manifesting is something that doesn't serve you. So let's say that you start, tuning into that conversation, and this is something you want to be guided through, but it's like, okay, what is this giving me? Well, I want to make sure you don't screw this up again. I want to make sure you don't fail. Okay, well, what does it give me to make sure it doesn't screw up? What does it give me to make sure I don't fail? It gives me a sense of protection. That's what you're going to find. You're going to find a sense of protection. You're going to find a sense of safety. And if you keep going up from protection and safety, you're going to find a sense of making sure that, that I'm taken care of, or that I'm okay. Then we can begin to communicate in a deeper way. And what it requires is a lot of compassion. So the one thing I would invite you all to do is have a little compassion for that voice. Realize that it's the conditioned mind. Realize that it's operating off these premises that have been handed down, often through often through the imprinting stages of childhood. I mean, it was literally passed down through your genealogy. Now you're coming into a level of awareness. So as you begin to have these, this level of compassion, you begin to transcend. So it doesn't mean that the little voice wouldn't be there, but you've transcended it. It's not you. So what begins to happen in the space of transcendence is the little voice begins to lose its power. It begins to just kind of lower and lower and lower until it's just kind of like, that little maybe radio station in the back that just goes, it doesn't even, it's just something that is. It's not affecting you. Who you are is unscathed. Is not challenged by that. Okay. So she says, how can I discern others' blueprints is one of the questions, so I can learn to communicate with them in a way that resonates with them, to inspire transformation. Well, one is, to change their blueprint, to actually change their blueprint. One thing I would want you to consider is, why are you wanting to change someone's blueprint? What would be the purpose of that? One of the things that I've realized in the work of transformation is that in order to change someone, you want to create the conditions that inspire them to want to change for themselves. That's usually the easiest. You don't want to go out there like, I've got tools to change people's blueprints. So what you want to do is discover, okay, how's that blueprint working for them, and guide them into a place of awareness where they recognize that they want to create transformation within themselves. And this is actually one of the prerequisites to guiding intentional change. And here's what it is in any given moment, you're either at cause or you are in effect. And it's the same thing for people that you're speaking with. It's true for you and it's true for others. In any given moment, somebody's either at cause or they're in effect. When you're at cause, it means you're taking ownership for whatever's showing up in your life. Even if it doesn't serve you, even if it's something that you want to change, you say, okay, here's what's showing up in my life in whatever area, finances, health and vitality, relationships, my life's work, whatever that may be, you take a sense of ownership for it. Being in effect is when we give reasons or excuses. I saw that in the questionnaire. Somebody says, I'm ready to let go of my excuses. Well, that is a prerequisite. Because if someone gives an excuse and they live inside of the excuse, they hypnotize themselves into believing that that's what's going on, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's not true. Who you are is greater than circumstance, no matter what the circumstance is. So being able to recognize that being in effect or giving excuses are like red flags. I wish I had my red flags here, because I actually have red flags for the stage. I go, wee, red flag. And what it is that anytime you catch yourself doing one of these red flags, blaming, pointing the finger, minimizing something, justifying, trying to be right or trying to make someone else, wrong. These are examples of being on the effect side of the equation. So anytime you're, there were several questions in here about, Niurka, how do I become a transformational leader, or how do I become a master coach or do what you do? And I'm totally available to mentor and guide you for those of you that are inspired to, kind of rise in this field of life's work. And one of the key things is that whenever you're coaching someone, how many of you coach others and you're excited about integrating these tools, not just for you, but for others? Let me see a big yes on the chats if you're excited about bringing this to others. Is that before you work with others, it's important to be able to ensure that they are at cause. If someone ever comes and goes, well, it's because they did this to me, or it's because that's happening to me. Anytime you point your finger outside, you're disempowered, and the premise is false. The underlying premise is false, which means you can't get to a powerful breakthrough if the premise is false. Does that make sense? If somebody is saying something outside is happening to me and I can't shift this, here's the thing, no matter what happens to you, you have the power to respond. Isn't that so? No matter what. And I know there's all kinds of fascinating things happening, but no matter what happens, you have the power to respond, and then your response influences the subsequent response. So key one, prerequisite 101 is to be on the cause side of the equation where you're taking ownership. You go, okay, here's what's coming up and I'm ready to make a shift. Okay. So, this is a great one. So Lisa says, I am stuck in terms of a direction. I have so many passions and so many skills. How do I realize my dharma and my purpose in life? That's a beautiful, beautiful question. One is to discover your dharma, which is like your unique path, your unique, life's work through your rare talent and gift. Tune in to where you feel a sense of timelessness in your work. Like, where is it that you bring your creativity and your unique talent into the world in a way that creates value and beauty? That's my prerequisite. Anytime dharma is happening, there's value that's happening, there's beauty that's happening, but what ends up also happening is there's a sense of like something moving through you. There's a sense that it's not like just your personality doing it, if you will. So it's a sense that there's a greater power, or like an energetic presence that's flowing through you, and it's almost like you're riding a wave. That's like what the dharma feels like. It's like you're on that cosmic wave, and you feel like you're moving along with life. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be moments where you've got to make that one business call about that one thing, or you're in that more third dimensional, like beta wave brain frequency type vibe, if you will. There's going to be all kinds of different realms that you navigate in terms of your dharma. It's just that when you're in your dharma, there's a sense of flow. There's a sense of timelessness. There's a sense of this inspirited energy. Who's excited about tapping into that and then creating abundance and prosperity by living your dharma in a way that creates value and beauty in the world? That's pretty awesome. Okay, let's see here. We got a few minutes. How are you all loving our preliminary coaching call prior to our Quantum Leap experience? Are you loving it? It doesn't let me mark it. Okay, in the past, it's been my experience to work for someone or under someone where the relationship is positive in the beginning, but then it turns sour and they themselves, the manager or the boss. So they end up becoming resentful or angry towards me. Even though emotionally I truly have the best of intentions, but dealing with people like this scares me. Okay, so Jewel, I'm speaking directly with you right now, or anybody who has a challenge in communicating, let's say with bosses or with anyone where you show up and you feel like you lose your power. This is a gift for you. And this is so much more than business, because this manager or this boss is showing up in a way that's reflecting back to you something within you that has nothing to do with them. And this is very exciting because it's like a mirror that's being presented for you for your breakthrough and for your evolution. So I want you to recognize it as that and know that you're totally supported as you're moving through this. So one thing that I'm going to invite you to consider is when you're having these conversations, one is be very aware of your physiology. And actually, let me give you a tip before you even walk into the conversation. If you know you're going to be walking in and you know that there's a certain energetic that's happening, you want to do something to align yourself before you walk in. You want to have a very powerful, quick meditation, quick alignment practice. Actually, would you all like me to give you one of my quick meditations and alignment practices when we're together in Calgary? Like a 10-minute alignment practice? Would that be valuable for you? Would you like me to weave that in? Because we can make that happen. Fabulous. Is before you walk in, you plug in. So you walk outside, you prepare yourself. Okay, what does that mean? That means you come into a space of physiology, you have a specific conversation with yourself, you have a certain level of, of presence within you, and then you walk in. Now, one of the things that I would invite you is be aware of the questions that you're going to be asking. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your response. If you're feeling like you're losing your resources, it may be very powerful if you could say to your boss, you know what, I would love to talk to you about this. Would it be possible for us to just go for a quick walk together? If you can just ask your boss, say, can we go for a quick walk outside and just talk about this together? That's a very powerful positioning for you, because just by you saying that, it creates a shift in physiology. Now you're not going to be across the table having this conversation that used to activate that state in you in the past. Now you're going to be side by side moving. And there's a totally different energetic if you're talking to somebody this way than if you're talking to them like this. And the other thing I would venture to say to you, just in the short time that we have here, and we'll have more time when I see you in a couple of weeks to go deeper into this, is that realize that it's one big costume party. That's what's happening when you show up to work, okay? It's one big costume party. All that person is they're wearing a costume called boss, or they're wearing a costume called manager. And you can take that costume and you can unzip the costume, and inside it's energy. It's soul, it's spirit. And when you can recognize that's what I'm communicating with, that's who I am, that's who they are. The same life force breathing their heart is breathing mine. The same life force that's, breathing you is breathing me. And you come in from this empowered place, you will communicate differently. And I'm going to give you some insights on how you could, make sure to tap into rapport. By the way, rapport is so key. Like if you're going to go into negotiation, you're going to go into a business meeting, don't even start talking about the business elements of it until you've come into an integrated, sense of rapport with everybody in the room. Because when you're in a sense of integrated rapport with everyone in the room, miracles will happen, literally, that you'd have to work really hard to even attempt to be able to produce. So would it be valuable for me to give you, some insights and for you to utilize our weekend experience? This is going to be like a cocoon of transformation to become totally masterful and being able to create instantaneous, authentic rapport with anyone, anytime. Would that be valuable for you to show up that way going, I'm going to make, several hundred new friends this weekend? How awesome would that be? And then to begin to bring these rapport mastery skills into your life. So no matter what shows up, you're able to be one key area of rapport, you're able, and even with your bosses, you're able to be playful and very respectful. Your ability to be respectful and honoring with people and simultaneously playful. This opens up magical doorways where people don't know why. They want to be around you. They want to connect with you. I will share with you some of my biggest business deals have come from just fun, playful conversations. And they've come a lot faster than sitting around trying to, come up with that perfect plan, if you will. You have a fun, powerful, intentional, meaningful conversation with the right person that opens up a doorway to take action, and things will begin to accelerate. You begin to accelerate your success. You move onto the quantum leap track, if you will. So, beautiful. We've got a couple more minutes. So if you've got a couple more questions, I'll take one or two more. We'll be wrapping up here in just 5 minutes. One of the things that I'm going to invite you to, this is a really awesome opportunity that we're all together for these 2 days. And it's such a wonderful investment. I mean, it's a couple of $100 for 2 tickets. So I'm going to invite you to share this with your friends and family. We haven't done this before, and we don't have this on the schedule to do this again. So it genuinely is a awesome, powerful, once in a lifetime opportunity. And I think a lot of times what happens is people don't realize the profundity of what's about to happen till you get there. That's why this call is so valuable. It's like, you're like, okay, well, what is this really? And I saw this woman for, a few minutes on the stage, and she used to be Tony Robbins' top trainer and all of this. And then you get to this weekend and you go, oh my goodness, I had no idea that this is what's going to happen. And that's what's going to unfold for you. So I'm going to really invite you to share this with the closest people in your life, and make sure that they join you, and get ready for a quantum leap experience. So let's see here. Yeah. So Goddess over here says she has a tendency to go into disappointment, and then later disappointment becomes resentment. Can I talk about these emotions? Who's ready to let go of some disappointment? Who's ready to let go of resentment, like fully and completely? I'm going to give you tools to let go of these emotions and these energies on that weekend. You're going to receive tools to let go of disappointment, to let go of, resentment, to let go of self-doubt, to let go of insecurity. You're going to get all of that on this weekend. The only emotions that I focus on in a little bit of a different format. There's 5 primary emotions that I've noticed in my life's work: anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and shame. Okay, those are like the 5. And really, when you look at them, all 5 of these are subsets of fear. Anger is really a subset of fear, but it actually feels better for most people. Like, if I can feel angry, then at least I have a sense of power or control over the situation. But what's really happening is anger at a more fundamental level is fear masked. So really, the underlying eclipse or blockage or klesha would be that fear, which is a result that comes from that, a fundamental ignorance about a particular thing. Usually the fear is, what if I'm not good enough? Can anybody relate to that one? I mean, if I sat through and looked at all the questionnaires of the, tens of thousands of students that I've, worked with from countries all over the world, the one thing is that I see is, a fear that at an underlying level, sometimes it's completely outside of conscious awareness. They don't even realize it is, what if I'm not good enough to accomplish this particular thing, or to do this, or for that relationship, or good enough for whatever. And then if I'm not, what if I won't be loved? So, one of the key things is we're going to give you tools and powerful practices to break through these disempowering emotions, to unleash and unshackle, the binds, if you will, on them. Now, when I work with the primary emotions, there's different ways in which we can work on them. We can work on them, and I'm going to wrap up on this because this is a pretty powerful topic, is we can work on them context specific. So let's say you work on fear of failure, or fear of commitment. Okay, so we can very easily work on these context specific, or fear of success. Okay, these are context specific fears that we could easily go in there and uncover. How has that been stored, and how can we create a breakthrough and a new insight that allows this old pattern to dissolve? Okay, now there's a different type of fear, and that is the root of fear. Where's the root of fear? What you will find is that the root of fear is in the imprinting stages of childhood or before that. So the root cause of fear is either, before the time you were 7 years old, or it's in the womb. Literally, something happened, they got imprinted in the womb, or even genealogically. And this now, even the latest research from Harvard neuroscientists are finding that these patterns are definitely passed down in the gene code. And now through the science of epigenetics, we also know through epigenetics, which is very exciting, that literally putting someone in a different environment, and that's the power of this transformative weekend, is you're in an environment that sees beyond these persistent blocks and illusions into the grandeur of who you really are, that in this environment, those old patterns naturally begin to dissolve. And what we know scientifically now, which is a huge breakthrough from, decades ago, is that the gene code literally transforms in different environments. That you could take a certain person that has a predisposition to show up this particular way, but if you put them in a different environment, a whole new reality happens. And that's the power of the experiences that we create. We create cocoons of transformation that empower you to let go of those blocks in a space of total love, total awareness, zero judgment, and then powerfully step into the next stage of your evolution. And we do it together in community. Many of you are going to meet some of your dearest friends there and make lifelong allies. So, like I said, when we go to the root, I'll talk a little bit more about that during our time together. That's a little bit differently, but to answer your question about disappointment and resentment, yes, you'll have an opportunity to experience those for the very last time. Yes. Okay, beautiful ones. How do you pronounce your name? Niurka. Depends in what, if you say it in English, you say Niurka. If you say it in Espanol, Niurka. Thank you for asking. All right, beautiful beloveds. It has been absolutely magnificent and wonderful being with you. Check in with me on social media. It'll give us an opportunity to chat and connect prior to our time together and even afterwards. I personally go on there. You can check in on Facebook. I'm at facebook.com/Niurka Inc. Okay, you put Niurka Inc. It's Inc. And then the Instagram is also Niurka Inc. And then make sure to invite your friends and family, because I want to make sure that you don't complete the experience and go, oh my gosh, I wish so-and-so would have been here. I wish this person would have been here, because we're not scheduled to be back with this particular experience. So I'm excited to be with you in a few weeks. Get ready to quantum leap your life. I love you. I'll see you on social media, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Thanks for being here.